I call Jono Naylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thought it was the bell to end that contribution for us. Someone who said that for someone that said he wanted an extra minute, he sold himself a minute short. But anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting actually listening to the previous speaker who talked about this being an outdated bill, considering it's dated today. I'm not sure how quickly it does, but I think. The word used was bill, I think, Mr. Speaker, was the other one we've got to enact. But anyway, I also thought it was kind of amusing that he was referring to his own birthday as perhaps being as nationally significant as an All Blacks game, but that's all right. We're allowed a little narcissism in the House from time to time. Mr. Speaker, I just want to just talk about this briefly because there's been a lot of focus on the licensing issues, and I agree that is an important matter that we are going to need to work through. But from my perspective, and the reason why I'm happy to support this bill is that it's actually about people of New Zealand being able to witness and enjoy something that many of them hold dear, and that is rugby. Now, I know that some people will call the rugby the religion of New Zealand, and that's kind of what people are so head up about, and it is, I guess, from time to time seen in that way. But it is something that is significant, as has been alluded to by other speakers. We went to a lot of effort when we were hosting it here to ensure that people could have access to seeing it. And that, to me, is what this legislation primarily is about, ensuring that New Zealanders can have access to seeing these games. Mr. Parker, when he spoke early, said somewhat cynically if Mr. Seymour was interested in New Zealanders about New Zealanders being able to view this game, he'd be moving legislation to have it publicly broadcasted. I thought of all the years that Mr. Parker's been in Parliament, and I've yet to see him propose any legislation to do that, so it seemed a little bit rich to be laying that solely at the feet of Mr. Seymour today. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that actually it is only licensed premises that are actually in New Zealand that I'm aware of, by and large, that are set up and equipped for people to be able to gather around in large numbers to view these kinds of games, I might have been less sympathetic to this bill. But actually, there aren't the opportunities in any other settings that I'm aware of, particularly for New Zealand to gather in large numbers to watch the All Blacks, to watch Rugby World Cup in action. And so I'm quite happy with this. We're going to have to do a little bit of work. I would say that currently the bill in the state that it's in is probably not something that, if this was to turn up at the third reading, would probably get the same level of support that it does as its first reading. But as a member of the Justice and Electoral Select Committee, I have confidence in our committee. It's a fine committee, actually, really good sort of people working hard on there for us to be able to iron out some of these things. And there's already been some conversations, as Mr. Hager's referred to, of conversations that have already been going on to sort of iron out the kinks in this legislation so that we can bring it back to the House in a reasonably short space of time in a shape that actually achieves the outcome that we're really looking for, is for New Zealanders to be able to see and witness firsthand Rugby World Cup. Not every New Zealander can afford Sky. Not everybody's going to be able to get to their friend's house or be able to watch it. And indeed, many visitors to New Zealand, knowing that it is a significant sport in our country, I think would be hoping that while they're here to be able to sit down and watch the game with a bunch of other New Zealanders, rather than sit in their own hotel rooms or otherwise to watch it. So this is really about including people and allowing people to be a part of the process. I think we've got to just be careful that we don't get too hung up on suddenly going down the fact that this is about trying to liberalise New Zealand's liquor laws. This is very much a one-off occasion that we're talking about. It is very specific to this time frame. I think we can do some good work on tidying it up. As Jackie Dean so eloquently put, host responsibility is still going to apply. No, she did. She spoke eloquently. And host responsibility is going to still apply. We're going to be able to make sure that we have the right parameters in place. I've got confidence in the Select Committee to do a really good job so that we can ensure that New Zealanders for Rugby World Cup will get to watch the All Blacks play. And as we've all said, we certainly hope to see them in the quarters and the semis and winning the final again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.